Ooh, Justin sitting in the dark. How dramatic. Good morning.
Success.
How are you?
Better than the end of last year. That was one of the more stressed periods of my life, I think. It's not completely resolved, but tough financial scenarios with converting your business from a service business to a product business.
Yeah.
Just continual, ups and downs with either sales or lagging one sales or the other isn't doing what you want. But
Yeah.
it's just, nothing has been seemingly simple lately and making me question all of it.
Yeah. Are you still in that questioning mode? Or are you...
Less so. And partly because early January 1, all of a sudden we had amazing sales, product sales, right away. It's like people were waiting for the new year to tick or something, and then
Fantastic.
had a great start in the first 3 days so far. That's always encouraging. Yeah. How about you? How was your end of the year, start of the new year?
Look, good. I can't say it was particularly stressful, which is good, but it was a bit weird. I got sick on that. On that last podcast we recorded. I was feeling a bit off that morning, and it was a quick thing, but it meant that I was not at work for the last sort of 36 hours, day and a half.
Yeah.
Which was just a weird way to end the year. Like I was saying to Jay yesterday, it was kind of like a really odd way to just exit.
Yeah, no kidding.
Quickly the day before our last day.
Just disappear.
And not sort of get a chance to sign off and just see the year out properly. But other than that, it was good to switch off. Had a good break. Proper switch off from work brain. Deleted all the social apps off my phone.
Oh, wow.
And managed to pretty much stay off them, except for the occasional check-in.
Yep.
Posting of Christmas video message, etc.
Yeah, that's good.
And that was, it was just really good. And just had a pretty chill time, spending time with the kids and going swimming. And it was good. It was a good break. And at one point I walked in here to pick something up from the workshop. I kind of walked into the workshop doors. It was just like, no, not ready. Backing away.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like quite a short break, but it was good. And it's good to be back, feeling sort of fairly invigorated and good to be here. Got things I want to do.
Yeah, I think for the first time in my experience having the CNC business, I had a pretty strong aversion to wanting to work and to be here.
Yeah.
And that was weird. And that was also part of that same, just what the hell, is that just normal at some point, or should I really be thinking about this differently? And
yeah,
I don't know. Hopefully this is relatable to other people, that you reconsider your career choices at some point.
I think
when you've created it yourself.
Absolutely. I think it's very normal. Yeah, it's a strange feeling though to sort of get to that point where you do have that aversion to your own creation at times.
Yeah.
But I think it's just about, different headspaces and making room for those different headspaces. Yeah. I think they're important.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my biggest breakthrough, so to speak, having taken a week and a half off, was just that lack of social media. It's like such a contrast. It's like going back 10 years to pre-Instagram in terms of my brain having little spaces in it again and not just being I feel like the way I engage with social media is just such a gap filler, every moment of the day where I'm not busy, it's just bloop, bloop, bloop. And so it was wonderful to get some of those spaces back and free up some thinking time.
That is,
but I'm trying to now, having returned to work, and obviously a big part of my job is content and engaging with those platforms. I'm trying to work out strategies now where I can do my job but still free up that time at the end of the day at least. So at the moment my hack solution is just to delete the apps and reinstall them every day.
Every day?
Just
holy
every
crap.
day, which is not ideal.
What about those focus modes, or I always manage to force my way around them, but there's like those timers, or like you can only use it a certain amount of time throughout the day or something like that on iOS.
Look, I tried and failed with those ones because I just brute force my way around them.
Yep.
Laura does use one which is quite good, which is like it forces you to, it just puts a time delay at the start of opening an app, and you can set the time delays.
Interesting.
So it just stops that sort of intermittent, like just quickly checking thing, which I might try.
Does she use Android?
But no, it's
That's an iOS thing.
But it's
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a separate app, third-party app. I'll find the name and chuck it in the notes. I think it works on one app for free, and if you want it to work on multiple apps, you pay for it. Yeah, trying to work that out. Trying to work out how functional Instagram is through a browser, and not very. Like Facebook's got all the, like you can respond to all comments and questions and stuff through their kind of meta business platforms for Facebook and Instagram, which is kind of useful. But in terms of actually posting content, I think you really just need to be on a device.
You can't post Reels on Instagram yet, is the only major limitation I'm aware of. But yeah.
It looks like you can post Reels now from a browser.
What?
But
for Instagram?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I logged in and tested that the other day. I can't remember if it was through the Instagram interface or through the Meta, like business tools interface.
So you could do Facebook Reels, which, aside from my one friend Joe, who's mastered those, they are worthless to me.
Yeah. So yeah, working that out. We'll get there.
That's a tricky one because it's like, for my brain, when I'm frustrated and feeling down on myself, I fall into like a TikTok hole or something, you know, like, oh, this is pleasing and I don't have to think about my pains. The classic. Yeah.
Do you know of any tools that are good for distributing content across multiple channels semi-automatically?
Like one of those. God, you could use like Zapier. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I've done that a little bit. And since Reels came out, it's kind of killed that usefulness because Reels are the only way that things show on like Instagram in particular. But there was a thing called Hootsuite. I never used that.
Who?
But I know of it. There's something else. Buffer was one that let you like, these are ancient now, let you like post into at certain times.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a look around and nothing sort of jumped out at me, but I need to do some more research.
I have a feeling they're all going to have the same problem with not allowing Reels to work.
One fun little thing there's this thing on like first week back. I have this. I guess it relates to like the whole New Year's resolutions thing, which I don't do.
Yeah.
But there's this certain headspace on the first week back after summer break, I find, of like my desk stays clean. My habits are quite tidy. I take good notes. I leave work on time. Like everything's quite orderly and structured. And then I feel like it's just a slow decline across the course of the year into all the bad habits. But I do like the sort of the headspace of first week back. And there's been a few little projects which I've delved into, one of which is building some new interfaces in Airtable.
Ooh.
Primarily for production staff.
Interesting.
So rather than them accessing jobs through just like the default, whatever they're called, bases and grid views, Sounder views, I've been building a basic interface, which is still very much a work in progress. I've been sort of hung up on this idea for a while where I don't want people having to look for stuff, and I want everything they need on a daily basis to be within like a single click.
That would be
I can
nice.
walk up to one of the workshop computers and they're like, what do I need? Oh, there's the link to it right there. And you download that PDF that needs to be printed, or you access a certain view in Airtable. So I've tried to sort of start building that where they can search and filter for jobs quickly from the full list. And then there's just a bunch of quick links that can take them through to like standards or like product production standards. So that's been a good little thing to get my head into.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
So,
I've tried with a few of those and never really found any good success in use. Yeah, they're like cool, but I mean, I played with them so early when they came out that maybe they've changed enough that it's more useful now. But I just found them
heaps better.
too limited for like it being really very useful. And I also always want like a dashboard. I want like overlapping interfaces between different bases. That's like my real dream, because like for whatever reason we separated out things so that I think it was because of the limitations of automations early on, that you can only do so many things. So I was like, well, we're going to run out in this one, our main one. So let's create an inventory one that's separate and products that is separate. And so they're all different. And as we've discussed, concatenating these later is a nightmare. So I've never, we're still kind of in this mess phase.
Yeah. Oh, we're still in the mess phase too, but I think the interface stuff has improved since it was first released.
Nice.
Definitely. That would be nice to be able to combine. I guess you can sync bases to each other though, right?
Yeah. I do a little bit of that.
Yeah. We do that with inventory to pull it into the right spot.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of start of the year neat projects that you're diving into?
Projects. Well, my comment on the year turning over was I'm doing better than normal with it, but it's like the reason I hired accountants forever ago with, tax things is I just find it to be so, it's almost like the opposite effect of what a resolution's supposed to do for you. It's like it does the opposite for me, where it's like the end of the year, I'm always like, God, all these things I have to do like once a year. Like, why do we have to do these?
Oh, it's tax time for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's the turnover of the year.
Just to add to the fun.
Yeah, do inventory of everything. Like I was, of course, 200 transactions behind on Xero reconciling. That fun like, what was all this? And in January, why doesn't this line up? Looking at the income statements and going, God damn it. The last half of the year was really good. Like I suppose that's the thing I didn't really put on the list here, but I was pretty frustrated by like how last year went in terms of a lot of things. It just was a really stressful, challenging year. The one good thing that came out of it was deciding to start doing CNC products. And like we were in such a product development mode trying to get NACWAL built and made, which it's a whole nother topic, but like, we finally put out the dust boot in end of June. And from that point on, we did fantastic in terms of like numbers, but we're kind of behind, like trying to catch up for the rest of the year. So like if we can we're close to like where I feel like we need to be catching up wise. So that was a good realization that it felt bad most of the year, but then I was like, oh, well, actually in this like 5-6 month period, it was actually really good. It's just, you can't always segment it like that. It's like making your own charts to make it look good. It's kind of how it, which
I would argue is important. Making your own charts to make it look good. Like, particularly at the end of the year, like what better time is there to like actually step back and reflect on how it went, and if you do have a little upward trend on a chart, then great, like that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. It's been very steady, which is surprising to me. I'm not always good at like looking at the actual, or like I said, my accounting software was behind, so I couldn't even use it usefully, like with those like income things. So once I actually caught it up, I was like, oh, this is, product sales were pretty steady if you just kind of average throughout the, a few months, couple down months. But anyway, that was encouraging. But otherwise, the end of the year, like rush to get all these tax things figured out. And then you have a few days in January to do it. At least we do. And then just kind of dealing with that crap too at the moment. Always fun. You probably don't have to do much of that anymore.
No, thankfully. And ours is mid-year as well. So it's like just different headspace. How quickly do you have to lodge? Like at the start of lodge your stuff?
Oh, I have to get stuff to our accountants by like probably the end of the week. Like, or otherwise it gets extended.
Wow. Super
and
quick.
They give us warning in December sometime. But again, the get the projects done by Christmas stuff, is like, I don't have time to do taxes.
Yeah, well,
and thinking I have all this time, so I've got to get back into that. That's always, it's always stressful. I don't know if anybody else deals with it like this, but it's like you can't deal with the end of the year till the end of the year, and then you got this short time period to like make it work. So I don't know, just how it's been done on my side, I guess.
you can keep your books up to date. That'd help.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because like all the invoicing is good. It's like my Amazon purchases are like they split the purchases into like all these weird like invoices, and I'm like, I don't know what that was. Got to go search through all this stuff. So it's way better. I think there's like 50 or 100 things left to do on there.
I think we sounds like we've got a very different system. Laura and I are classically bad at this, but it takes us usually about 10 months after the end of the financial year to actually finalize our books and lodge it all. So we've almost got the full following year to like get our shit together and like finalize it with the accountant, and then the accountant lodges it.
Interesting.
Means we're almost always running like a full year behind in actually finalizing, which Sarah, our business manager, gets quite frustrated with. She's like the week after financial year end, she's like, right, let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get the shit done.
The pandemic caused some pretty wonky stuff with I think we filed our last taxes in like October or something. It was ridiculous. Like it's supposed to be in like April.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's mostly getting ready for our accountants to deal with preparing taxes, because I would guarantee your tax system is better than ours, because it's an absolute disaster here of like, I'm not even going to go there, but it's just, it's a very messy system.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Hey there, Parts Department fans. If you're enjoying the podcast so far, make sure to support Justin and Jim on Patreon to keep getting great content. As a Patreon supporter, you'll get exclusive access to their secret show where they dive into the stuff they can't say on the regular podcast. And let's be real, this is a lot cheaper than actual therapy. Don't miss out. Head to Patreon now and become a supporter. This copy brought to you by ChatGPT. Some funds may go to AI tools for our very important work.
Other than that, I sometimes will do, like I was just staring at my 2022 goals, which I hadn't done goals the last couple of years, but I've regularly since like 2013 had done like annual goals. The pandemic stressed me to the point of like, I can't make goals. The goals survive, you know? And so last year was the first year in a while that I like made some goals to try to like check through a few of them. And they actually turned out pretty decent. Pretty some things didn't, you know, delegate and new roles. I did not hire anybody in sales or customer service or production management, which would have been nice. But, you know, there was good things like we needed to replace the air compressor or I wrote down dryer for compressed air, and then we just bought a new air compressor that had a dryer. So guess that worked out. I don't know. I'm not inspired to make a new list right now.
Are you?
Not really. I should. I just feel like sometimes they're really disappointing in that like you don't get even close to what I don't get what I put on there, and then I'm like disappointed. Like this year, I'm like, oh man, half of that's done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Probably good. Always. Do you do goals or anything like that?
No, I've never been someone who does that. I've always just been floating along, see what happens. But I think that has changed over the last year because as a business, we've got goals. And I can see the value in that in terms of working towards those in a very clear way. And so that's definitely rubbed off on me personally in terms of, just seeing the value in it. And it's not like the start of the year I wrote a goals list, but in my journal on January 1, I did definitely write some stuff down of like things I would like to focus on. Not goals as such, but sort of areas that I want to sort of just I was aware of January 1. I'm like, cool, I want to keep working on this. Like, you know, for instance, coming back to the social media thing, I'm like, wow, I can see how positive this is. How do I maintain this? That, you know, continue to think about this and work it out. So, yeah, I don't know that I'll get to the end of the year and look back at it, but I just feel like it's a good time to sort of think about things moving forward.
An interesting potential way that you could, I don't know if you played with these. I haven't, but I know this podcast I listen to, they're really into setting their, I don't even know what they're called, but in iOS you can do like based on time of day changes to your home screen. So you could set different icons on each. So if it's like after 5 p.m., you could do, like only things related to my home life or something like that. Whatever your focus is. And maybe during the day, then it has your social media apps there. And just from not seeing them, you might be less inspired to click on them. I don't know.
That's cool. I didn't know you could do that.
I don't remember what it's called, but somewhere in there.
Probably part of the focus mode stuff.
Yeah, probably.
I'll have a look at that. Yeah, cool. I really want to delete that bloody app library out of iOS, but it seems very persistent. You can't get rid of it.
The whole...
Interesting.
You
know how, like, if you take things off your home screen, like I've reduced my home screen to a single page, but then you can always just flick to the right and it's kind of just got the full mess of all your apps.
Oh, yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a way to get rid of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that would be...
But yeah, otherwise, the guys had a lean day on the last day here last year when I was out. Mm-hmm. They got a bunch of stuff done and they did a whole bunch of work to our sort of product storage dispatch area.
Yeah.
Which is looking good. Andy did a really thorough clean of the spray booth, the water wall, and just like chipped off all because it builds up paint over the course of the year, and all the sludge, the paint sludge sort of builds up and up and up and up and gets closer to the top. And so he did a full pump and dump of that. So yeah, the workshop's looking good, clean, tidy, ready to roll.
We kind of did that kind of unintentionally the last couple days. I've been on a kick to both to regain the money, but also just to declutter stuff. I've been selling things and like trying to figure out what we need. And I suppose that's been the closest thing to like a goal, but it's mostly just been, there's too much crap here. What are we not using? And one of those things was, Ricky, we had a decent amount of orders, right? From kind of that period after New Year's to like we got back in here. So Ricky spent a lot of time shipping orders, and we've had this like shipping area underneath our rack in the garage. It's got a desk and like some hardware, but it's really like completely non-usable. Like there's no computer there. So you can't use ShipStation. There's no shipping, the label's not there. The paper for shipping, the boxes are kind of there. Products are all over the place. And I was just like watching the last few weeks. And then we had a discussion of like, I don't know what this lean thing is where you like, watch and then analyze and try to fix those things. And I was just like, yeah, you've been walking back and forth to the paper across the shop to package stuff. And, we laughed about that. But then I was like, okay, how do we actually fix it? And so we're like building, I think what he's cutting right now is more storage in that area so that we can more easily access like boxes. But it's still not going to solve the larger problem of, you probably have this too to some degree. Like a lot of our products aren't a thing that keeps in a bin and you can just grab one and put it in a box. It's like 24 inches or, half a meter, something like that. And it's like, how do you keep all that and the boxes for that in a sensible place near your shipping area? And we just don't have the space to deal with it. So that's what we're trying to figure out lately.
It takes up a lot of room. Mm-hmm. A lot of room. Like we only do that for 2 product lines, the crates and kit parts. And we've dedicated, huge amount of space to trying to have sort of the version of the bin, like the pick and pack bin, but for furniture products.
Yeah.
And we haven't yet solved the cartons. Like we want to have all the cartons for those products pre-cut, and we've kind of got bits and pieces, but it's not resolved yet. We're trying to create like SKU numbers for all our cartons. That's kind of the next thing.
Oh.
So that they form part of like the product pick and pack list. So you if I walk out there now and I had to pack a 5 upright set of shelves, I'd be like, how many shelves go in which box and which box is it? And so I'm trying to tidy that up, get it all pre-cut and itemized. But yeah.
It's funny you say that. I had the exact problem of Ricky was out one day. I don't remember what the scenario was, and I had to do some shipping and I hadn't done it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And he'd also started to reorganize some of it. And it used to be the exact opposite where he didn't know about any of the shipping stuff. And so I taught him about all of it, and then he took it on. And I was like, I don't know where to find the boxes anymore. So that was the other thing, is the labeling is really key, because it's like, oh, I know how to do this, but I couldn't find things, you know? It's just like really simple. And not that he like hid them, it's just literally being moved a little bit, and all of a sudden you can't associate where they used to be right here. And boxes tend to look exactly the same when they're like not put together.
Yeah, you underestimate how important labeling is. I made in the spray booth last year. I sprayed something. I can't really remember. It was a project. I think it was an internal project for the office. And I'd sprayed something, and there was this weird system of like paint buckets, the primer and then the top coat. And if you're in the spray booth every day, obviously you could distinguish between the two. And I just picked up a bucket and I was like, oh, this looks like the top coat. And it wasn't. So I ended up, putting Ciela as my top coat on this project. But just like to the guys that are out there every day, obviously they knew the certain markings or crud on a bucket that identified it as the right one. But just a simple label update, just taking that time to go through and keep things sort of idiot proof, I suppose, is super valuable.
I think the thing that simplifies it, and it's just Ricky and I at the moment, but I said, we were talking about how to reorganize things and like how it should be. And I was like, I don't have any answers to like how exactly it should be, but just imagine the thing I think about and what you should think about is, what if you have to train the next person to use all this? Like, how hard is it going to be on you if it's not, organized in a way that's easy? Or like Saunders always talks about, somebody walking in, doesn't know your shop, and they can just do the processes, which is like pretty far-fetched, I think, in most cases, but that's definitely better than nothing's labeled and there's no process goal sheets or anything or kitting instructions. So got a long ways to go,
standard. But yeah, a great standard to work towards though.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's good for goals to be like that. Standards or goals to just be a little bit out of reach.
Yeah.
You're always chasing it.
Definitely.
What's on for today?
No, trying to answer 1,000 emails and get back to actually working on products again. Like that whole tax catching up on fulfillment emails thing has definitely pushed me off. Revising the last few things that I feel like need to be resolved with the pedestals to start just producing them. Yeah, I need to get back to like splitting my day into different segments. I think I've just been kind of under following whatever feels important at the moment, and that's never good.
I was about to ask, have you retained any sort of default diary factor?
Well, I get a calendar alerts every couple hours and just ignore them completely.
I do the same thing. Yeah. That's on my list today, is to try and reset my default diary.
You got an alarm to reset your alarms? Yeah.
I'm all about those. Cool.
Yeah. What about you? What's up?
I want to shoot a bunch of new photos for the shelves and kit parts today. And so, prepping the photo booth this morning to shoot some new content. I dredged all the kit parts photos out of my Lightroom. I made a new collection in Lightroom yesterday to see what I've actually got on hand, and I've got over 3,000 photos of kit parts already. And I was like, wow, I should just be able to make this new landing page with what I've already got. But I found myself very quickly going, no, I don't have this angle. I want this direct comparison shot between this and this. So I'm going to shoot some new content just on clean white background. And we're building a couple of new landing pages for the website at the moment, just kind of really focusing in on our two key products and one sort of key custom offering, and putting those sort of front and center on the website, and also just having somewhere to direct add traffic to
ads,
more. Just so I've got like a clear like landing off product offering page. I always think about those like Kickstarter pages when I'm thinking about these, of like there's something about a Kickstarter page in the way it kind of just like endlessly scrolls, and it's like, and then there's this feature and this feature and it does this, and then there's call to action, and then it's like blah, 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 blah. And it's just like so rich and kind of overdone in a way, but there's something I like about those pages as well, in terms of if you are genuinely interested, you can just keep scrolling and like explore
Well,
stuff.
they definitely have figured out something there that seems like it converts. And then there's like, I think the thing I noticed recently when I was looking at a friend's Kickstarter was there's like now ways to make pretty good graphs and like timelines for projects, which is pretty
Yeah.
nice. That stuff did not exist back. You had to make your own graphics back when I did it in 2011.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What did you do it for?
That laptop
Which
stand,
product?
the prop.
A laptop stand. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't really. I've been actually thinking about like, I almost always have another product idea floating around in my head and like wanting to work on that. I have something in mind, but I am not even remotely ready to start working on it yet. Which is frustrating because it's like, that's what I always want to be doing. But as I was saying, it's more about executing and figuring out the last product that we're pre-selling
Yep.
currently and trying to get that out. And the hurdles of that, I'm still very much stressing about, when people need help remotely, how does that work? We can phone call, I can remote share potentially to their computer, but it's like, if I can't see what they're trying to accomplish physically, that really stresses me out. Like so far it assumes that I completely know every machine mentally and all the potential failure points to like solve. And that is terrifying to me at this point still. And I think a lot of them just kind of a lot of customers expect that that's all going to be solved, for them perfectly. Like that, if I just run this one file and all of a sudden all I got to do is, tap a hammer on something and it's all installed. But yeah, we'll get there, I hope.
You'll get them.
Yeah.
Certainly be good to get a bit more field experience if you have opportunity to
Yeah.
see some more machines,
Yeah.
preempt some of those issues. But yeah,
There's one more in Seattle I could probably see. The problem is a lot of the machines that I'm aware of are very close, if not the same thing as what we have. So it's like, I already know that one pretty well.
yeah,
One quirky thing that we discovered at this customer that we installed the pedestals on, and they actually noticed it as I was working on resetting where the tools load at, which is kind of like calibrate, teach the machine where the positions are. It's a different gantry y-axis design. Instead of like ours has kind of a frame and then the ball screws are inside of that. So if you run off and turn off the soft limits, you can hit the back of the machine, like the steel, and it stops, obviously, because it's like, ow, ouch, that hurt. That was too much force. This machine, and it's now kind of the standard machine frame design they have for Shop Sabers. As far as we can tell, you can just run it off the rails. Just
no hard
just
limits at all.
nothing at all. Just run straight off.
Wow.
Which we were within like
Ugh.
5 or 6 millimeters probably of reaching the end, not falling off, but the trucks were right on the edge. And I was like, ooh, yeah, we were trying to discuss, because he had some decent ideas of like, how do you stop a customer from potentially doing that to their own machine, right? Like give them advice on it. Because it's like, if you accidentally jog the wrong way, then what do you do then? You've got a gantry off the tracks.
Just drive it back on. Push the ball bearings back into the trucks and drive it back on.
Oh, God.
We've all been there, right?
Well, no, I just hit the back of the machine. Currently.
The number of times I've driven the trucks off on the pencil sharpener, it's fine. Doesn't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, lots to do.
Yeah.
Shall we?
See ya.
Hello. See you later.
But what's good for you?
I could do my Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, sure.
Should be So tomorrow or the next day I could do.
So your
Or push it into
Friday,
next
so that's
week.
my Thursday,
Yeah.
which is tomorrow?
Which is tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. See, let's do this again tomorrow.
Same time tomorrow.
Yes.
All right.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks for getting up to make coffee.
I didn't.
What?
I made this coffee yesterday. I gotta make tomorrow's coffee.
Can't we worry about tomorrow's coffee tomorrow?
Nope. The only reason why we have today's coffee is because I worried about it yesterday.